just one Friday afternoon. Spent entirely on setting up automation rules, webhooks, analytics dashboards, automated invoicing for brand partners. Sounds like a lot of upfront work, right? But in return, that architecture recovers 6 to 12 hours a week. Forever. Across the entire team, today we decode the full scaling operations strategy for AI influencers. From SOP standardization, the 4-row team structure, the decision authority metrics, to the 80% capacity rule and succession planning. This is how you turn a solo hustle into a self-sustaining enterprise-grade machine.
So you finally got that viral hit you've been, grinding for.
Oh yeah, the dream scenario.
Right. Maybe it's a side hustle that suddenly just took off, or a digital persona you've been cultivating, or, I don't know, even a special project at work that leadership suddenly wants scaled globally by next month.
Yeah, and instead of popping champagne, you're just panicking.
Exactly. I mean, your inbox is breaking, the deadlines are cascading, and you are basically completely drowning in your own success.
It is a very specific, terrifying kind of crisis, honestly.
It really is.
Because you spent all this time optimizing for growth, trying to get big, but you didn't build the internal scaffolding to support the sheer weight of that growth once it actually happened.
And dismantling that tension is exactly our mission today. We are looking at a really fascinating, highly detailed operations guide from AI Creator World.
Yeah, published in early 2026.
Right. It's titled AI Influencer Scaling Operations Strategy. And what we are going to do today is extract the exact step-by-step blueprint they lay out for turning a solo AI influencer hustle into a scalable enterprise-level machine.
And, while the source material definitely zeroes in on AI creators managing digital personas, I think it's important to point out that the underlying architecture we are going to explore, well, it applies to anyone trying to scale their own output.
Oh, for sure.
Early on in literally any venture, your singular focus is market demand, getting people to actually care about what you're making.
Right, fighting for that attention.
Exactly. But once you capture that attention, the dynamic totally flips. Operational capacity takes over as the binding constraint.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because that pivot from hunting for demand to just surviving your own operational capacity creates what the guide calls the growth ceiling.
Yeah, the growth ceiling.
And when you hit that ceiling, the whole solo operation just starts to fracture.
Yeah. It fractures because of how a solo venture is structured at its very foundation. Like, think about the fundamental difference between a solo creator model and a systems-based model.
Right, okay.
In that solo setup, every single metric, your income, your output volume, the quality of your brand, is inextricably tied to your personal physical bandwidth.
Which is inherently limited.
Exactly. If you get the flu, revenue stops. If you take a vacation, the algorithm punishes you.
The business is literally just you sprinting on a treadmill.
Sprinting on a treadmill and pulling your hair out.
Yeah. And to get off that treadmill, the authors argue for this major pivot toward what they call infrastructure thinking.
Which is such a great term.
It really is. And the guide offers this brutal but brilliant test for it.
Yeah.
Basically, you look at any task you do in a given day and ask yourself, could a trained team member execute this to the exact same quality standard if they had documented procedures?
Yeah.
And if the answer is yes, it must be standardized and delegated. If no, then that is a core creative function, and you have to aggressively protect it from all the operational noise.
What's fascinating here is how often creators misdiagnose this transition phase.
Really? How so?
Well, the instinct when demand spikes is to just expand the workload.
Oh, right. Work harder.
Yeah, exactly. They try to brute force their way through the ceiling by posting more content or taking on more brand sponsorships before they have any process standardization in place.
Which just sounds like a recipe for disaster.
It totally is, because expanding volume without a system doesn't generate sustainable growth. It generates missed deadlines, brand-damaging errors, and just total burnout.
It reminds me of the difference between being a brilliant boutique baker and building a global franchise.
I love this analogy.
Right. Like, if you are hand-whisking every single artisan cupcake, you're a boutique. When demand spikes, you can't just whisk faster. I mean, your arm will eventually give out.
Yeah, you physically can't do it.
To scale, you need industrial ovens, you need precise recipes that anyone can follow, and you need shift managers.
Yep.
And in the context of an AI influencer, the cupcake is the content. The recipe is your Mid-Journey or Chat GPT prompt architecture.
And the oven is the automated toolchain.
Exactly. You have to stop baking and start building the bakery.
And that requires a fundamental shift in identity. You really have to transition from being the primary laborer to being the architect of the factory floor.
Which brings us directly to how you actually build that factory floor so it doesn't just, immediately collapse.
Right.
Because if expanding volume without a system is just forcing more dough into a broken oven, the first step has to be fixing the machinery itself.
Absolutely. And the guide emphasizes standardizing the core product first.
Which for an AI persona means format standardization and standard operating procedures, or SOPs.
Yeah, and we should clarify this goes way beyond a loose brand aesthetic.
Like a Pinterest mood board or something?
Exactly. It's not a mood board. An SOP in this operational context doesn't just say, hey, create a moody portrait for Instagram.
Right.
It explicitly details the generation process. Like, what are the specific negative prompts required? What are the exact seed values used to maintain facial consistency for the AI persona across different posts?
Because consistency is everything with AI.
It really is. The SOP covers the fixed aspect ratios, the required camera angles, the lighting references. It's a blueprint so precise that a newly hired editor could execute the format perfectly without the original creator ever needing to intervene.
But, a recipe is totally useless without a kitchen staff to actually follow it.
Yes.
So the source outlines the necessity of a lean virtual team consisting of 4 distinct roles. But instead of just looking at them as a laundry list, it's really crucial to see how they pass the baton to one another.
Yeah, the workflow is the magic part.
Right. So it starts with the content strategist, who is handling the concept development and the script writing. Then they pass that narrative framework to the visual producer, who actually wrangles the AI generation tools and edits the media.
Made sense.
Then the operations coordinator steps in to manage the scheduling, track the deliverables, and handle the sponsor communication.
The logistics person.
Exactly. And finally, the analytics specialist pulls the performance data from those posts to feed insights right back to the strategist, starting the whole loop over again.
The structural elegance of that 4-person pod is just incredible because it covers the entire life cycle of a piece of content.
It really does.
And the guide pinpoints a very specific metric for when a creator actually needs to trigger the hiring process for that first role, the operations coordinator.
Oh, right, the follower threshold.
Yeah, it typically occurs when the influencer hits between 15,000 and 25,000 followers.
Because at that threshold, the admin work just mutates.
Oh, completely.
You aren't just replying to a few supportive comments anymore. You are suddenly losing 8 to 10 hours a week haggling over a $50 sponsor revision at 2 in the morning.
Or manually formatting cross-platform uploads or hunting down unpaid invoices.
Right. That is an entire workday just vaporized by logistics.
Time that absolutely should be allocated to high-level brand development is completely consumed by coordination overhead.
I understand the logic. I do. But let me push back on this framework a little bit.
Go for it.
Because if we rigidly standardize the seed values, the camera angles, the posting times, and we hand the entire execution pipeline off to a committee of 4 people.
Right, the factory floor.
Yeah. Doesn't the AI persona run the risk of becoming incredibly robotic? Doesn't standardizing every single pixel strip away the spontaneity or the soul that made the audience actually connect with this digital persona in the first place?
You know, that is the most common fear among creatives facing scale.
I can imagine.
But the authors argue the exact inverse is true. Standardizing the process is actually the only way to protect the creator's capacity to focus on the creative soul.
Oh, interesting.
By completely removing the burden of manual scheduling, formatting tweaks, and endless email chains, the creator preserves their cognitive energy.
So they aren't bogged down in the weeds.
Exactly. They can focus entirely on the persona's narrative evolution, long-term positioning, and storytelling, which is the magic that actually drives the brand.
So you aren't outsourcing the magic, you are strictly outsourcing the logistics of delivering the magic.
Perfectly said. And to ensure the team doesn't accidentally drag the creator back into those logistics anyway, the guide introduces the decision authority matrix.
Right, the matrix.
Yeah, it's a mechanism to categorize every potential operational choice. It basically functions similarly to a RAS-CI chart in corporate project management.
How does that matrix actually function in practice for a digital creator team?
Well, it explicitly defines thresholds.
Okay.
So, for example, the operations coordinator might have autonomous authority to approve brand deals under $1,000 if they align with pre-approved category.
So they don't even need to ask.
Exactly. And the visual producer can independently greenlight asset variations based on the SOPs.
Gotcha.
Only decisions that alter the core brand narrative require the creator's final approval. Because without this matrix, uncertainty just defaults to the team messaging the creator to ask, hey, is this okay? 100 times a day.
Which totally defeats the entire purpose of hiring them in the first place.
Yes, you're
Okay.
just trading one kind of burnout for another.
Okay, so the team is in place,
Mhm.
the SOPs are documented, and everyone knows exactly what they have the authority to decide.
Right.
But human communication has its own inherent friction. If a team of 4 is constantly pinging each other on Slack to confirm those decisions, the machinery is just going to bog down again.
Which forces the next evolution, transitioning from merely managing people to orchestrating systems.
And to the robots.
Enter the robots. Tool chains and automation are the lubricants for this new human machinery. The right technology stack is what prevents your lean virtual team from drowning in their own administrative workflows.
And the return on investment detailed in the text is absolutely staggering. Integrating the right tool chain can reduce manual time costs by 40 to 60%.
It's massive.
Cutting your team's busy work in half is huge, but we need to look at what that actually means on the ground. We are talking about API integrations that automatically pull a finalized video from a shared drive, formatted for TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts, schedule the publishing according to peak engagement times, and then automatically route the performance analytics back into a central database.
All without a human ever clicking a single button.
It's wild.
And the authors break the math behind this down into what they call the time recovery formula.
Okay.
Implementing those automation rules, like setting up the webhooks, linking the analytics dashboards, automating invoice generation for brand partners, it requires a heavy lift up front, usually about 4 to 8 hours of highly focused implementation time.
So basically one grueling day of technical setup.
Yes, one bad day. But in return, that architecture recovers 6 to 12 hours per week, every single week across the team. The payback period for that initial time investment is literally just 1 to 2 weeks.
That's incredible.
After that, it pays compounding dividends indefinitely.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Imagine applying that time recovery formula to your own workflow.
Oh, absolutely.
Just imagine getting 12 hours back every single week just because you spent one Friday afternoon setting up automated rules for your inbox routing or your content calendar or your data entry. I mean, that is a fundamental game changer for your operational sanity.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, reclaiming that time alters how you interact with your business data entirely.
How so?
Well, when you operate at this scale, you completely stop opening social media apps to check individual post likes or daily follower fluctuation.
Right, you're not obsessing over the dopamine hits anymore.
Exactly. The guide emphasizes transitioning to an executive-style reporting system.
Unpack that for us. What makes a dashboard executive style versus just a standard analytics page you'd see on Instagram?
An executive dashboard is designed to take under 5 minutes to review because you are no longer the laborer, you are directing the machine.
Oh, okay.
The dashboard strips away all those vanity metrics and surfaces only strategic, decision-relevant information. So you are looking at monthly revenue versus forecast, output volume versus your targets, and the aggregate health scores of your brand partnerships.
You are monitoring the vital signs of the business, not dissecting the cellular biology of a single post.
Exactly.
And looking forward, the source points out that this data visibility sets the stage for a major industry trend: AI-powered workflow orchestration. We are rapidly moving toward platforms that manage this entire pipeline from a single interface, effectively turning solo creators into a hybrid creator agency.
The hybrid creator agency model is really the ultimate leverage of operational scaling.
It sounds so corporate, but it's brilliant.
It is, because once you build this rock-solid automated infrastructure to run one successful AI influencer, the underlying system is completely agnostic to the content.
Wait, meaning what?
Meaning, there is nothing stopping you from plugging a second, third, or fourth AI persona into that exact same operational machine.
Oh, wow. So you've built the factory. Now you can just run entirely different product lines down the exact same assembly line.
Exactly.
But as with any highly efficient factory, it becomes a massive liability if it isn't protected. Which brings us to the final stage outlined in the guide: building the moat.
The moat, yes.
You have to protect the machine from falling apart when the revenue gets complicated or, an external crisis hits.
And this shifts the focus entirely to financial operations, compliance, and hypergrowth capacity. At scale, financial opacity isn't just an annoyance, it is a fatal risk.
Definitely. When you are dealing with multi-stream income, we're talking brand sponsorships, affiliate payouts, programmatic ad revenue, maybe even digital merchandise, you need structured portfolio dashboards.
Yep.
We aren't just talking about checking your bank balance at the end of the month anymore. We're talking about projecting 90-day cash flows.
Right, because cash flow is king.
Exactly.
You have to know, if a brand partner's net 60 payment terms are going to collide with your team's biweekly payroll cycle, leaving you without the cash to actually pay the people running your machine.
And alongside that financial architecture, you really have to lock down the intellectual property.
Oh, this is huge.
It is.
Yeah.
When you are managing an AI influencer, documenting and legally protecting the persona's visual assets, their voice models, their narrative elements, it is non-negotiable.
Right.
You are standardizing contract templates so that your operations coordinator doesn't accidentally sign away usage rights in perpetuity just because they were trying to close a brand deal quickly.
Yeah, one bad contract and you lose the whole persona.
Exactly.
I also found their focus on crisis playbooks incredibly practical. It's the definition of proactive management.
Yes. A crisis playbook removes emotion from disaster response.
Which is so needed when things go south.
Because they will go south. What happens if a major platform's algorithm suddenly updates and throttles your visibility by 80%?
Right. What if a brand partner is furious about how their product was integrated into a post? Or what if your lead visual producer just quits overnight?
You absolutely cannot afford to be making strategic decisions while you are panicking. The playbook defines the exact response steps, designates who is responsible for executing them, and outlines the external communication protocols before the fire ever even starts.
So when disaster inevitably strikes, the team just executes the plan instead of freezing up.
And a critical component ensuring your team doesn't freeze up is making sure they aren't already stretched to their absolute breaking point.
Yes, this is so important.
The text introduces a concept for capacity planning called the 80% threshold rule. You calculate the total time cost of all your operational functions across a given week, and you map that against the total hours your lean virtual team actually has available.
Right.
And the rule states that you are at full operational capacity when total time demand hits 80% of those available hours.
Which I know on its face seems deeply counterintuitive to a lot of founders.
It totally does. If I am paying a team for their time, my initial instinct as a business owner is to maximize their output to 100%. Why on earth would I leave 20% on the table?
Because operating at 100% capacity eliminates your shock absorbers. That remaining 20% is your crucial buffer. It absorbs the unexpected crises we just talked about, platform outages, software bugs, or sudden, highly lucrative new deals that you desperately want the bandwidth to say yes to.
Right, if you're maxed out, you have to say no to good opportunities.
Exactly. If you operate your team at 100% capacity, any minor bump in the road, a delayed email, a corrupted file, causes a cascading systemic collapse.
This all culminates in a concept that honestly broke my brain a little bit when reading the guide. Succession planning.
Yeah, this is where it gets really sci-fi.
It really does. Usually when we talk about business succession, we're discussing who takes over the CEO role when a human founder retires or steps down. But here, we're talking about succession workflows for a digital entity.
It is about fundamentally separating the brand asset from the human originator.
Right.
By maintaining a strict 4-week content buffer and meticulously documenting the decision frameworks and creative SOPs we discussed earlier, the creator actually ensures the business continuity of the AI persona.
So they are documenting the persona's creative guidelines so thoroughly that the virtual team could continue to produce perfectly on-brand content, even if the human creator, the original visionary, steps away entirely.
Exactly.
So what does this all mean? We've gone through highly technical prompt SOPs, automated API integrations, 90-day cash flow projections, and succession planning.
It's a lot.
It is a lot. For someone who started this journey just wanting to make cool digital art or build a fun side hustle, what is the ultimate value of wrapping that pure creativity in all this heavy corporate-sounding infrastructure?
This raises an important question, one that creators struggle with constantly: the supposed inherent conflict between business and art.
Well, the classic battle.
Right. But the authors of this guide draw a really brilliant conclusion. They state that operational infrastructure does not compete with creativity, it protects it.
I love that.
When automated systems and trained teams handle the scheduling, the reporting, the financial tracking, and the brand negotiations, the creator's energy is completely liberated.
They can just create.
Exactly. Infrastructure is basically the mechanism that converts raw, fragile creative equity into sustainable, scalable business value.
It builds the walls so you can play safely inside the garden. That's a great framework.
It really is.
Let's pull all of this together for you listening. We started with that terrifying feeling of hitting the personal bandwidth ceiling when market demand finally outpaces your operational capacity.
The dreaded growth ceiling.
Yep. Then we explored how to dismantle that ceiling by systematizing your core product with strict format standards and procedural SOPs.
Then replacing yourself with that lean virtual team.
Right? The strategists and coordinators. And how to lubricate their workflows with automation chains that literally pay for their setup time in a matter of days.
And finally, building a moat around your new operational empire using 90-day financial dashboards, crisis playbooks, and that crucial 80% capacity rule. It really represents a complete evolution in mindset. You transition from being a solo operator frantically pulling levers to becoming the architect of a resilient, self-sustaining system.
Which leaves me with one final thought I want you to mull over today. And it builds heavily on that idea of succession planning we just touched on.
Oh, this is the brain-breaking part.
Right. Think about the long-term implications of this blueprint.
Yeah.
If an AI influencer business perfectly documents its intellectual property, automates its distribution workflows, and has a decentralized team thoroughly trained to execute its creative voice flawlessly,
Yeah.
could that AI persona theoretically outlive its original human creator entirely?
It's totally possible.
I mean, could we see legacy AI influencers operating for generations? We could literally be looking at the dawn of digital Mickey Mouses run by decentralized teams across the globe, continuing to grow, partner with brands, and influence human culture long after the original creator is gone.
That completely redefines what it means to leave a creative legacy.
It really does. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. I highly encourage you to look at your own daily workflows this week through the lens of infrastructure thinking.
Find your bottlenecks.
Exactly. Figure out what mechanisms you need to systematize and delegate so you can stop whisking every cupcake by hand and start building your bakery. Until next time, stay curious.
Thank you for listening to AI Creator World Podcast. If you found this episode valuable, make sure to follow the podcast, subscribe on YouTube, and share this episode with another creator who is building their future online.
For deeper guides, AI tools, and step-by-step growth strategies, visit our website at aicreatorworld.net.
And remember, in the age of artificial intelligence, creators who learn faster will lead the future. See you in the next episode. Bye!